Hi, my name is Stephanie and I'm a massive lover of music and movies, and I'm a massive collector as well. I have over 1,000, maybe 600 DVDs and Blu-rays and nearly 400 CDs at the moment. And you know, collection's always growing. There's always amazing movies and music coming out. But today I thought it'd be fun to have a look at some of my favorite albums that came out in 2024. So last year, as we know, was a massive year in music, a massive year in like pop music, and a lot of my favorite artists released music. My favorite format of buying music is on CD. I just find it more practical, and I like that it's small. I like that it's easy to listen to, and I love CD booklets. I do love vinyl, but I much prefer CDs. We'll start with one of my favorite releases from last year, which is Eternal Sunshine by Ariana Grande. This album is amazing, and I have all of Ariana's albums. I remember in 2014 literally getting my everything. I think for my birthday it came out around that time. And since then I've been listening to and or buying the album the day it comes out. I always want to hear what she is putting out. So when this album came out, I ended up listening to it the day of, and then the following week I think I bought it in store. But I love all of the photo shoots for this album. I think that this photo session is stunning, and this album, I just love it so much. Obviously we've got CD booklet with lyrics, and we've got photos, which I love. My top 3 songs on this album as of today, because it will probably change tomorrow like with any, is Supernatural, always number 1, Bye, and Eternal Sunshine. The next album in this list is Deeper Well by Casey Musgraves. I am a massive Casey Musgraves fan. I came across her when Golden Hour came out, and that album is still a go-to of mine. And to me, this is kind of like, I guess, a sister album in a way. There is star-crossed in between this one and Golden Hour. But when this album came out, I got it the day it came out, and I remember I listened to it the following day, and I painted as I listened to it, and I cried as I listened to it, because songs like The Architect exist, and I just was like, I just couldn't help. I was just crying. It's just so beautiful. I love how beautiful the lyrics are in this album, and how grounded it is, and how it just is very, I don't know, it's very special to me. There we have a little poster, and then we have credits. My top 3 songs on this album today are The Architect, Dinner with Friends, and Cardinal. So those 2 albums came out in March, and then of course we had Taylor Swift, The Tortured Poets Department, come out in April, and this was another album I bought the day it came out. I remember going to shops at midday, getting it, coming back and listening to it from beginning to end, which is how I prefer to listen to an album first way through, because then you can just fully focus and listen. And at the time I was also reading through the lyrics as well, so I was like fully listening in, and I do love this album. Last year I got to go to the Eras tour, and in February, and so this happened, what's quick math, a couple months after I had seen Taylor live again. These are the lyrics to Down Bad, and then we have poster. It was also as I was fully invested in listening to this album that Taylor Swift announced the Anthology, like the double album, and so I didn't like find out until like I checked my phone after I had finished listening to the album for the first time, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on? Like, she's amazing. My 3 favorite songs on this album as of today, and I think since I first heard the album, probably But Daddy I Love Him, Guilty as Sin, and I really love My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys, and the title track. We'll stick with the title track. That can be my top 3. While we're on the topic of Taylor Swift and the Tortured Poets Department, here is the Anthology album. although like there have been like many iterations of this album released, I am still tempted to, and I'll probably get at some point, I think the Bolter and Black Dog, because I was at shows that they were announced at, so I feel like that's kind of special. But also I knew that this would come out on CD at some point, so I was like holding off as well. And I've been excitedly waiting because I just prefer to listen to albums like physically on CD rather than just like streaming it. So from like April to what, December without it, but I'm glad to have it now. This also has acoustic tracks from Tortured Poets Department, like But Daddy I Love Him, Down Bad, Guilty as Sin, all of those, which is really cool as well. Here's another fun one. We have Radical Optimism by Dua Lipa. I believe this came out in May, and I remember grabbing it at the shops and being like, oh, this is cool. When Houdini came out, I was very excited for the album, and it's a great album. It's super fun. I love Dua Lipa and I think her music output is fantastic, and yeah, this is super fun. I'm seeing her live this year and I'm super excited for those shows too. Here's the inside. This is a really great summer album, so I should probably play it a lot more now than I do. Like, it really is great for summer. I think my favorite songs on this album would be firstly Houdini, End of an Era, and either Training Season or French Exit. All right, here we have Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft. I never really listened to Billie Eilish until What Was I Made For was on the Barbie soundtrack, and now I can never listen to that song again because I just weep. But I think that song is magic. And when I was away last year, I went away and Birds of a Feather was kind of everywhere. It really tempted me to get the full album and listen to her work a bit more. Here is the inside of the CD. Not to be ignorant or anything, I can't really choose a top 3 for this album yet. I haven't listened to it enough. I will say Birds of a Feather is amazing and I love that song so much. That's why I got the album, and I like that like old school way of being like, I really love this song, I'm gonna get the album, rather than just listening to one song over and over again. And you know, now I get to explore the rest of this album. I have heard a few songs off of it, but I can't in good conscience choose a top 3 right now. Soon we'll have a top 3 for this album. Here we have Short and Sweet, Sabrina Carpenter. I got to have an Italian summer for a little bit last year, and everywhere I went espresso was on, and so that makes me now think about being in Italy. This album is amazing, and one thing I love is when you have like a massive album of the year and the singles are great, which we know we've got like Espresso, Please Please Please, Taste and all that, but then when the album tracks are actually really good, it's like sometimes it's a relief, sometimes like there's a bit of fluff, but you know, we let it happen. But I love songs like Coincidence on this album, and you know, just Good Graces, Slim Pickens, just like, it's a great pop album. It's so good. And this is a great summer album as well, we know. And now that I'm doing summer again, we get to enjoy the summer songs over again. One thing I love about this CD is the booklet, because like this design is stunning. It's so pretty. Like I love when time and effort and energy is put into something and it pays off and it looks amazing. Oh, I also got to see Sabrina Carpenter live on the Eras tour last Feb, which I can't believe is nearly a year ago. But I fell in love with a lot of songs from Emails I Can't Send, and I just bought that album not long ago too. Songs like Read Your Mind, because I think she opened her set with that. I was just like, ooh. My top 3 as of right now is Coincidence, Bedchem and Juno. Alright, next we have Wild God by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, which is a long-awaited album for me. This album came out a couple of days before my birthday while I was in Italy, and I will say I think I pretty much like cried through it as I sat and reflected on my life in the middle of a town in Italy, and it was very special to me because I could just fully sit and listen to this album. I was like listening through like YouTube music, and then the moment I got back to Australia, I think I literally went and bought this album. But I love having a story for myself attached to like hearing these songs for the first time, and whenever I hear them now, I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember sitting there just like with the music so loud in my ears and just like taking it all in. It's amazing. With this album, if you have not heard it, go listen. This album is so beautiful and I highly recommend it, and just like listen. It's one of those where you just listen from beginning to end and just let it happen. My top 3 on this album were probably Conversion, Joy, and Song of the Lake right now. Next we have Brat, and it's completely different but also still Brat, and I had to read that because I knew I'd mess it up. Charlie XCX, and this has both Brat in it and Brat remix album. I purposely got this because it has both albums in it, which I think is a fantastic idea to have it pretty much like a double album. There she is. So by the time like Brat came out, I'd already gone away and come back, and then so when this came out I just got it. And I will give my top 3 on Brat right now is Von Dutch is always number 1, Sympathy is a Knife 2, and Club Classics right now. The other week this amazing album came out, which is a live album, which is one of the many things that brings me a lot of joy in life. I love a live album, and I think more artists need to release more live albums. There's just sometimes this extra oomph that comes with like a live version of a song, and especially if you've seen the show live or you've heard like the songs a certain way, like you want to be able to like get the live album as like a souvenir. So I have many live albums, and there are heaps more that I want, and there's heaps more that I would love to be like, please release this as a live album. Like, I need it. If anyone needs it, I need it. This is Dua Lipa live from Royal Albert Hall, and she does the full Radical Optimism album, and then she does like the hits, like songs from Future Nostalgia and songs from first album. Again, it's one of those things because I've seen Dua Lipa live opening for Bruno Mars in 2018, and I've seen Dua Lipa live on the Future Nostalgia tour, and I want to hear the songs the way I heard them live. Like, I can listen to the album versions forever obviously, but live albums. So I love this album, and I love that this exists. Last one is the Wicked movie soundtrack. I have the Wicked Broadway cast recording because I love Wicked, and I've now seen Wicked 4 times since it's come out. We have the disc and everything. I love Wicked. I could go on about Wicked forever. I love the movie version. I'm so keen for part 2. I will say that my favorites, I have my favorites from like the Broadway version, and then I have my favorites on the movie. I do love from the movie The Wizard and I, Defying Gravity, and Dancing Through Life's one of my favorite songs of all time, but I'm gonna have to say I love how they do What Is This Feeling. Thanks for watching this video if you made it to the end. I have a massive collection of movies and music that I'm keen to show off and talk about because it's fun to discuss things that we love, and there's so much of it, so like, why not? So thank you for watching, and if you have favorite albums from 2024, let me know. I have a few more that I want to get / that I need to listen to and I need to get and need to explore a bit more. But thank you again for watching. This is like super low key, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed.